sinner? Would you be the preacher? Would you be my It's the done, the done, done. I still got a lot of shit to learn, I'll admit it.
What's going on, everybody? Gonna change things up today. Got my wife in the mix, and we're gonna talk about what happens for the sponsor side and the dependent side, the spouse side, and when you go to your first duty station after tech school.
Hi everyone, I am not the dependa.
Rude. That's more like it.
I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the short sheet. That's what they call it at my base. Other bases might call it something a little different, but all in all, it's a packet that the sponsor has to do in order to out-process. And it's got a bunch of check marks on it that are requirements, and each of those requirements can be different for your AFSC, as well as what type of squadron you're going to. I am Air and Space. We'll be going to Germany. Very excited about that. But there's other squadrons such as combat comms, you have base comms, there's war prep. So what the requirement is for each of those squadrons can be different. I was originally combat comms, and then they redirected me to Air and Space. I know that he's a little bit more excited about that, probably less TDYs, but a little more time at home. And I'm sure as spouses, you would much rather have that. But the combat comms, I had more requirements that I had to do on a regular basis. But for combat comms, I had more requirements that I had to complete before I was able to out-process. And so getting switched over to Air and Space did make it a little easier. But I can say, being married, you already have a lot more that you need to do. Your spouse, your dependent, if you have children as well, you have to do things for your children to get cleared. But I'm not sure if this has anything to do for the fact that we're OCONUS versus CONUS, but your spouse has to get medically cleared first, at least in my case. If he doesn't get medically cleared, he won't be put on my orders, and I won't get my orders until he does his medical screening, which is a whole nother process as well.
And all that is just me going to the doctor's appointment, getting a quick checkup, and getting dental checked up. Just those two things. If I don't get them done, I don't get put on our orders. Simple as that.
Yes, he has to get those done. And if there's anything that they see is not acceptable, he either has to get it fixed. Like if he, let's say for example, he has his wisdom teeth and they looked at him and saw that they were impacted and they need to be removed. He would have to get those done prior to going overseas. But if it's just a matter of like, oh, well, you have a cavity, he's going to be just fine. They'll say, we're going to have you do that at the first duty station. But if there's anything that they say that no, he's not fit to travel, whether it's traveling or just, this won't be the best space for him, best location for him, then they won't put him on my orders. Now I can get my orders changed, or I could say, sayonara, I'm still going to Germany.
But that is something that you will know prior to even getting medically screened. You will know, like if you have a disabled child or something like that, you will know that that base will not be able to accommodate said child. So that's something that will already be in preparation to be changed.
But besides medical, the only other thing that I think he really has to do, there's a few things he has to do with me, but I have to be there, so it's not like he can go do it on his own. But passport, because we will be going overseas, we will be needing the military passport, and he has to be there for that in order to get sign everything for on his end.
Now, don't get your passport mixed up with your leisure passport. Your leisure passport is something that can be picked up from the post office. You cannot use your military passport for leisure travel, and vice versa. You need to have both, because if you go to Germany, for an example, and you want to go visit other countries, you cannot use your military passport. You have to use your leisure. So here, it could be, I'm not sure if it's the price difference in other states, but here in Mississippi, price for a leisure passport is roughly $120 per person. And then if you need that expedited, because it can take 3 weeks or longer to get that passport in, you have to pay for expedition, and it can cost some money. The military one is paid, for you.
So pretty much recommendation, if you plan on doing any traveling anyways outside of the US, whether you are planning on getting an OCONUS base or not, because you could always get one, it's not up to you, it's, you're given what you get. I would just prepare for one anyways. And then as for the military one, that'll be something that I would imagine is something that they do for every base, that you do your military passport. But then the other thing is, for our case, because we are going OCONUS, and it might be just a Germany thing, because I have heard from other students that they aren't, that wasn't something marked off on their short sheet, is they called it DAP. But then they give you extra paperwork to kind of explain it, and it's pretty much driving. In order to get approval to legally drive over in Germany, we have to do this test first. So he could test and pass and everything be just fine. He can drive over in Germany. But if I don't take it, I can't drive in Germany until I take it. And it's something that you can do here or over there, but it is recommended that it's done here first. So that might be just a Germany thing, it might be just an OCONUS thing, I don't know for sure. So there's going to be a lot of things that it does depend on your AFSC as well as the base that you get. So anything that I'm talking about, I'm going to try to be as generic as possible. But things I might be talking about might be specifically for my AFSC, and which is Cyber Transport Systems, and my squadron that I'm going to, my base.
Speaking of going OCONUS, pretty much covered most of the short sheet stuff there, so it's pretty short and simple. It might take a while to complete, but for the most part it's short and simple. Going OCONUS though, if you have pets, first thing, we should have done this already, but we're kind of procrastinating, and we shouldn't be, is the pets that you have, get them into the base vet so that they can get their screening done, because if they don't get a proper screening taken care of, they can end up sitting over in Germany without you. They can be held in quarantine for a month or longer. And on top of that, if you have any kind of pit bull, bulldog, or aggressive breed, they cannot go. They will not allow them to go.
That's something you're just going to want to look up, especially if you're going to OCONUS, like he said, that what those laws and regulations are that they have.
That's Germany.
Yes, this is Germany, so you just want to check the list that they have to make sure that if you have a breed that might be on there, you're going to want to find that out beforehand. We have a little Chihuahua, and in my opinion, little Chihuahuas are more vicious than our pit bull that we have.
And unfortunately, she can't go, even though she's the biggest baby of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, we have family members that are able to take her. So she's going with someone that she's familiar with, and we'll
and we
love
can get her back. That's the big thing. We're going to want our family back. And you probably already know this, but if you don't, one thing that you do need to keep in mind too is if you're doing base housing or not. If you're not doing base housing, and this goes for wherever you're staying, like whatever base you're going to be at. Base housing typically, and I'm going to assume that it's pretty much the same thing across the board, they only have a 2-pet limit, and they do have breed restrictions as well. Now, I do know that from what I've seen, what I've had other people tell me, that's not necessarily always followed, or maybe they get, in the military's case, a waiver, or maybe it's just kind of like something under the radar. I don't know. I've not experienced it. We personally haven't done anything to attempt to risk it, so we personally don't know anything on that. That might be something that if you do a little bit more digging, you might find more information on. But keep that in mind, especially if you are going Oconus, that there might be a 2-pet limit if you're going to be staying in base housing. We are intending on doing base housing, so out of our 4 pets, we're only able to bring 2 of them, but with one of them not being allowed in Germany anyways, like he stated, the other one, they'll still be together with family, and that's a good thing to look for.
And speaking of housing, more so on the Oconus side, she or your sponsor actually has to contact their own sponsor that's already over there. So this isn't just going to Germany, this is Oconus in general and even stateside.
Me being a sponsor contacts somebody else that's at my duty station, like at the duty station that I will be going to, the first PCS. And you can get assigned a sponsor, your airman, or any military spouse.
And they take care of everything. And you, as a spouse, can't do anything. You can ask for their number and request a whole bunch of stuff, but that's up to them to if they want to listen to you. But it's them that they listen to.
Pretty much.
They're not your sponsor, they're her sponsor.
I can imagine that it could be on a case-to-case basis for the sponsor, because the sponsor is an individual. They are from your squadron. Usually they have a similar makeup, demographic, not sure what word choice I'm looking here to use, but typically you'll get paired with somebody that, if you guys being married, you should get paired with somebody that is married only, because they understand what you're going through, what you need to do, and they've been through it more than likely. Not always the case. But like my sponsor, he's actually single. He didn't know that I was married. And so he's finding out some more information for me, and anytime I have any questions, I can ask him. And I know that a lot of the other airmen, their sponsors, are talking about how great they are. And I've had a few people say that they like, oh, I'm struggling getting in contact with mine. But I mean, they are people too. They are working, especially if you're Oconus, then the time difference, more than likely, is going to be a huge factor.
And the biggest thing is communication on that. You as a spouse might not be able to do anything, but you can irk your sponsor to contact their sponsor repeatedly, and they can be annoying. Like, you can have them annoy them if you're not getting the information you need, especially if you're going overseas, because what's going to happen is you're going to go overseas with all of your belongings, you're going to be in a brand new country, you're going to land, and you're going to have to have a place to stay. It's your sponsor's duty to find that place for you before you even land.
And as a family, you will not be in the dorms. They have rooms, buildings, like apartment kind of styles, hotel type places set aside for the instances like this. It's meant to be just temporary, but it's, from my understanding, what he's researched. I've not done much research. This is where I can be very thankful with my dependa. But he's done a lot of research on these things, trying to figure some stuff out to help me. So he's taking a lot of burden off. But it's supposed to be like fully furnished and just pretty much completely functioning, with the idea that yes, you're gonna have a family, whether it's just you and your spouse, or whether it is you and 3 kids and 2 dogs, and it's meant to accommodate all of that.
And one last thing, and then we're going to wrap it up, and that's go with anticipation of spending money. Not gift shopping, but I have heard many horror stories from the other spouse pages that they've gone overseas, landed, to find out that their sponsor messed something up. Maybe not on purpose, of course.
Not me.
Not this sponsor, but her sponsor messed something up, and now they don't have a place to stay. Here they are in a brand new country. They have nowhere to go, and they don't know what to do. So be prepared that you may end up spending, this is from the spouse page, you may end up spending anywhere from $4 to $10 grand out of pocket. Now, you will get reimbursed because that's on, that's for the military, and that was a sponsor's mistake. But just do have that in mind. Have a savings built up. If you don't have a savings, there's a military loan that's 0% interest. That's something that we're looking into just for safety's sake. And if we don't use it, we can just give it right back.
Better to have it and not need it than go, oh crap, I need this and we're screwed.
Exactly. So with that, we're gonna see you guys later in the next one. Thank you for giving them all that information. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Hopefully it's all useful and hopefully it all makes sense.
I'll see you guys on the other side.